James Adams with his speech, Where Were You? Where Were You? James Adams. Oh, you need to sit.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. We live with people. We work with people all the days of our lives. We interact with many other personalities. We behave in certain ways that from time to time they may disagree with, and they behave in ways that we may disagree with. And sometimes there might be a few people who can do some things that you find really irritating. And then you feel like you want to tell them about it. So this is what we call criticising. And put your hand up if you feel you've ever been criticised at any point in time. Gee, it's not very nice, is it? Now, it raises a very interesting issue, and that is, were they criticising you, or were you hypersensitive to their communication? The meaning of communication is the response that you get. So, the former question is really irrelevant. Monitor the person you have spoken to, and you will realise how your communication has been received. If you want to get on with them, then, and if they've reacted badly to what you have said, try saying it another way so that you get the positive response that you want. Now, we have all developed personalities through various processes, which I don't want to get sidetracked into details of that. But essentially, it's formed very early in our life, and there are many issues and pains and hurts that we've had early in our lives, and they form our attitudes and our ideas about ourselves. Because of criticism can be hurtful and destructive, we tend to become defensive. And if someone criticises us, then we start to defend ourselves and counterattack and so on. So, because of these personality considerations, there are certain issues that when someone is feeling criticised or we're feeling criticised, there'll be a lot of energy on our response. We could be quite hurt and we go into defensive responses. So today we're talking about what do you do to defuse verbal criticism. And the normal pattern is, our automatic reaction is to go into our defensive responses. We can withdraw, in some cases get up and walk out of the room. One of the best, and we're not suggesting you do these things, and they suggested these things, again this is the notes in the book, that withdrawal is not a good thing to do, because you feel that you've run away from the situation, you run away from the conflict, and you might feel further loss of self-esteem by withdrawal. However, one of the ways of when we're withdrawing, we say nothing. Now, I find a very good technique when someone has criticised you, particularly if there's a lot of energy on it, simply say nothing. Their words are left hanging in the air. So just say nothing. If you can get total silence, their own words are ringing in their own ears with the energy on it. And it'll make them start to think, have I gone over the top here? Okay? So even though withdrawal is not recommended, I mean certainly getting up and leaving the room doesn't help. Unless you're leaving, you can do that. So But think about it, just a dignified silence can let the words go back to the speaker. Rationalising is where you start to explain and give excuses for your perceived misdemeanour or poor behaviour. Now, it may not have been poor behaviour, or it may have been reasonable under the circumstances that they took the trouble to ascertain why you behaved the way you did. But once you start saying, well, you know, it happened, I did this and I did that and I did that and this happened, and I couldn't have got that done because, and by the time you're finished, your accuser will have found 4 or 5 things in your rational explanation to attack you on and criticise you there as well. You've probably already had that experience. The third thing is counter-attacking, where you then turn and find something in their behaviour and something that they've done so that you can attack them. And you're trying to, the reason behind all this is you're trying to maintain your self-image and you're trying to maintain your public image, which you feel is being damaged by the negative criticism. So this is, traditionally, if people tend to automatically drop into these defensive responses, the first point is, in defusing verbal criticism, is avoid defensive responses. What can you do? What they recommend that you do is adopt this 5-step process. Simply listen. Listen sincerely. Look at the person. Look them in the eyes. Try to connect with what they're feeling. Listen. How many times you hear people say, you just don't listen? And really what they're trying to say to you is, you don't just listen. I'm unloading emotionally. I'm bitching about a bad day I had to you, and this is slightly different to the context of criticism. But you just don't listen is quite different to you don't just listen. All they want you to do is listen so they can get rid of the feeling about the situation. So listen carefully. Acknowledge. Yes, I did do the wrong thing. Yes, I was late. Yes, I did forget your birthday. I did forget to pick up the kids from school. However, so you open with, you acknowledge, you accept that you were in error. Where you've been in error, but there may be justification for it. There may be a reasonable explanation for it. Ask questions. What happened? Did something go wrong? Did somebody get hurt? Any number of questions you can ask to demonstrate that you are clearly, sincerely interested in their dissatisfaction with your behaviour. Paraphrase. You didn't pick up the kids. You're right, dear, I didn't pick up the kids. I forgot to pick up the kids. It demonstrates again that you are listening. You are hearing what they are saying to you. You are taking them seriously. And agree with the truth. If there's a truth that's being told, you say, yes, you're right. But let's see, what can we do? How did that affect you? What can we do to rectify the situation and see that it doesn't happen again? So these are the types of responses that you would engage in a non-defensive approach. In that process, they give you some tips. And the tips are, remain calm. Now, don't sit back in your chair and be really laid back. Yeah, I was right. Yeah, you're right, you know. I mean, you've got to be very... I'm not entirely happy with this. If someone's spitting the dummy with you, if someone is really, really angry with you, you're late! You go, yeah, I know what's late. One of the things that they'll teach you in neuro-linguistic programming is you adopt the body language of the person attacking you or accusing you but you use non-confrontational language. You were late. Yes, I know I was late. And I'm really sorry. So I've got you copying their voice tone, their facial expression, their body language. Alright? So, and what happens is the unconscious mind says, oh, he's just like me. It actually creates rapport. But you've used non-confrontational language. I wouldn't suggest that you go, oh, you look really beautiful when you're angry. I don't think that'll put it. Try. Be impersonal. Don't, essentially they're saying use avoid taking it personally. I'm going to run through the time. Use non-verbal body language when you're listening to them. Look them in the eye, smile, nod. Be very careful what you do with body language, because if you're using body language, leaning forward, showing that you're sincere. Be careful that you get sincere in here first when you're doing these things, otherwise you can look like you're ridiculing them. Listening skills. Learn to listen. Learn to hear what is, particularly what we call analogically marked words. Words that have energy on them. You're late. The energy, the inflection, the tone, and the emphasis and pausing around any particular word. That word is analogically marked. When you're listening to anybody talking to you, listen for analogically marked words, because there's energy on that, and behind that energy is an issue. Alright? So that's a list, and at all times, treat them with respect. So I'm going to leave these up here, and I'm going to put this up here. Now, the second part of this is a role play, and I have a partner, and I've been blessed by the cooperation of Kathy Papa. So Kathy's going to come out. And we're going to do a role play. And I have committed a misdemeanour, and the scenario is that Kathy's my partner. I have arranged to meet her in the city and to go to lunch, but we travelled independently. And we were to meet under the clocks at Flinders Street Railway Station. Everybody knows that's a great meeting point. So a long history. So I'm 30 minutes late. And I've got to see what happens. Hi, Dale.
Where were you? You're late. Again. You're always late. You never keep an appointment.
I was on time at the wedding. Your sister's wedding when we went there. I was on time. I was there in the Christmas party on time. I'm not always late.
That doesn't matter because we didn't call. What happened to your phone?
You won't believe this. I left my phone. I'm really sorry. Look, it wasn't good. I can see what you're saying.
Upset. Man, I am over this. You just can't keep an appointment. This is the epitome of disrespect and brainlessness. I'm sorry, it's just, I'm just broken.
I had to stop in at the jeweller's and pick up your ring to be put in for repairs, and there was a long queue, and I ended up missing the train, and so I'm half an hour late. I'm sorry. What were you feeling? Did something happen? Did you have an accident? Did somebody frighten you?
No, you just do this all the time, James.
What?
And
What were you feeling? What were you feeling when you were standing here?
it's the you know I don't like public transport, and I had to travel here by myself, and the clocks are going mad.
Actually, thank you. I actually didn't know that you don't like public transport. You remember, this is the first time we've done this. This is the first time we've gone somewhere where you travelled independently, and you had to. And why did if you didn't like public transport? Why didn't you say so when I suggested it?
I was just trying to be cooperative instead of making a fuss about everything.
What else was happening here while you were waiting for me?
I was pretty nervous.